Since I've been doing reviews here on YouTube and on my channel, I've had several people ask me to review the Walther Ppq. Now, I wasn't able to do it at that time because I didn't have access to a Ppq. And to be honest with you, there was nothing really exciting me about getting my hands on a Ppq, so I really didn't press the issue on getting my hands on one. Well, as luck would have it, I've managed to get my hands on a Walther Ppq, and to be honest, like I said before, initially I really wasn't pressed for getting my hands on one or really doing a review on one, as it didn't really intrigue me. Now that I have one in front of me, oh boy, I see why now people were asking me to review this gun, because I have to be quite honest, this gun is actually really special. Let's be very clear. When you first look at this gun, the first thing you think of is basically an H&K P30, the ugly version. Now, I've been noted for calling Walthers Lego guns because they look like Lego guns, or a gun that Gumby would use for some reason. I don't know why. But even in the grips here, the way the grip looks, it looks reminiscent of the P30, but just not as nice. It doesn't look aesthetically as pleasing as the P30. It kind of looks like an offhand second basement level version of the P230 grip style. And I'm just not really thrilled with the way it looks. It doesn't move me at all. It really doesn't. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not so unattractive, or doesn't lack such attraction that if I had to carry this gun, the looks would just get on my nerves. But if you ask me what I thought about the gun as far as looks, yeah, it's just kind of like meh. I don't really have any real feelings for it. It's okay, I guess. As far as the looks of the ergonomic grips, I think they're kind of whatever. It doesn't look exactly like the P30 grips, but let me tell you something. It feels every bit just as good as the P30 grips on an H&K. It just works. When you have it in your hand, it just contours to every groove, every indentation in your hand, in the palm of your hand. Whatever hand you have, it just works. The finger grooves here on the front of the gun are very low profile, so that they're not intrusive like the Glock finger grooves are. So even if your fingers don't fit very nicely inside the finger grooves, if you're sitting on top of them, they're not so blatant that they become uncomfortable. So if you like the grooves and don't like the grooves, they're still gonna work. This gun's still gonna work for you and not kind of make you run away from the gun like the Glock's finger grooves do for some people whose fingers don't quite fit in the grooves. This texture here, though it looks like a cheaper version of the texture on the P30, it works. It's not too aggressive, it's not too hard, it's just hard enough though that you get a really firm grip on the gun. And in here, when you look towards the back grip here is, you do have a very nice palm swell here in the back. And it's a kind of a hate or to love it deal for most people, but I tend to like it because it just tends to fit and conform with my hands. Now, I understand that this does come with replaceable back straps. This is the medium size, and it comes in a large and a small. And I really do like the palm swell on the back. It just works because it makes the gun kind of sit up in your hand. And then look at this bore access. If you look here, it's literally hand, a little bit of plastic, gun. Like, there are very few guns that manage to get this bore access like the Glocks do, and this Ppq manages to do that with relative ease. And then since there's such an exaggerated indentation in here, you really feel like you get up under the gun even more so than a Glock. And I really like that about this gun from an ergonomic standpoint. And then also here, you have the trigger, the magazine release. Now, I'm used to the push button release, I really am. Since I started getting into HKs and things of that sort, I've gotten really accustomed to the magazine release. And there's something very comfortable about dropping this magazine release. It just kind of naturally works. Now, I use my middle finger here to drop the magazine release. Now, on the H&K, this particular magazine release is a little too small to do that, so you might miss it like that. But on this particular gun, it's just long enough and just big enough that you can catch it with consistency, as you can see. You can drop it and catch it. And though looks like I'm doing it in the video, I don't have to camp my gun too much in order to get the magazine out. All I have to do is boom, and the magazine drops. And you don't have to drop it all the way. A little bit of pressure and there it goes. This slide lock that's reminiscent of the H&K I like a lot as well. And from an ergonomic standpoint, I like the H&K slide locks because they're long and they're big and they're easy to actuate. Glocks, you tend to end up getting into a fight with the slide lock and then just pretty much cussing it out. But this particular slide lock I really like a lot because it's literally just a drop just like that. And then on top of that, it's ambidextrous. So with that being said, if I lock the slide back and I wanted to drop the magazine, to drop the slide, I can use my thumb and my index finger, and with just a little bit of pressure, I'm able to drop that slide with no problem. What makes this slide lock a step above the H&K slide lock is the fact that this is a slimmer profile. With an H&K, when you're running your gun sometimes, you tend to put pressure on this slide lock here, and then the gun won't lock back on the last round. With this being a little bit slimmer and a bit of a lower profile, you don't really run into the issue as much. Now, the way my grip is, I'm probably still going to end up doing it, but just not as consistently as much as I would running an an HK, for that matter. This gun feels great in hand. It feels really balanced. It doesn't feel like any part of the gun weighs more than the other, whether front or back, and I really, really, really like that about this particular firearm. Now I want to talk about the absolute best thing about this particular firearm. Usually I save this part for towards the latter half of the video, but I really honestly just want to get right to it. This trigger on the PPQ is by far the best polymer trigger I have ever encountered, period. Hands down, no question. I have not encountered a better stock trigger on a polymer frame weapon with a plastic trigger than any other polymer frame weapon. Not a Glock, not an HK, nothing, not an M&P, not one. The trigger on the PPQ is amazing, especially for a stock trigger. And I don't see why this does not happen on every other polymer handgun. Now, the trigger is very Glock-like. Why they continue to do this is beyond my understanding, but they feel they need to continue to put this little blade in between the trigger and pass it off as some type of safety feature, when in my mind it's anything but a safety feature. It's useless. But with that being said, the contour of this trigger is actually very comfortable and fits the pad of your finger really, really, really nicely. And I really like that about this gun. And then with the Glock trigger, sometimes this little blade right here tends to snag on itself, and it doesn't really give you a crisp, clean, smooth break sometimes. But this here just kind of slides effortlessly in between the spot where it needs to disengage and engage the safety, as you can see. Now, thing about this trigger that makes it so exceptional, besides the fact that it's really smooth, as you can see, there's very little creep, very, very little creep, and it's just really smooth. It doesn't jerk, it doesn't mush or any of that, and then it just breaks. Now here's where the fun part comes. When the trigger resets, you don't have time to think before it actually resets. It just resets. That's the reset. It is an exceptionally short reset for a stock trigger, just like that. That's crazy. I really, 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 really love the trigger on this particular firearm, because I've yet to encounter a trigger on a polymer handgun that can best the trigger on the PPQ. Okay, now as far as the features are concerned, as we all know and I talked about at length, you have the Ergo grip here, which is reminiscent of the Batman grip on the HKP30. Then on top of that, you have your extended slide release here. That's very slim and very low profile. And then on top of that, you have your serrations on the slide here, not only in the front, not only in the back, but also in the front as well. I can count countless times when I've tried to press check a firearm and have my finger slip off and get caught in the slide here. So having the actual serrations in the front here are very effective as far as manipulating the weapon. Then you have the universal extended rail here with the three notches underneath it as well. So you'd be hard pressed to find any light or any other type of attachment that wouldn't work on this particular rail system. Of course, you have the Glock-like trigger with a safety blade in the middle, which I think is utterly useless. And then on top of that, you do have stock adjustable sights. If I'm not mistaken, these are adjustable only for elevation, but not windage. Though the stock sights are plastic, they do a very good job as far as the 3-dot sight system. Now, one thing I did notice about this particular sight, about the sights on this gun, is that there is a lot of daylight between the front post and the back post notch when you get the sights lined up. I don't know if I can mimic it on the camera here, but as you can see, there's a lot of daylight between the front post and the back post. Unlike the Glocks, which is kind of just all jumbled together and you just get one mass piece of just nonsense. Granted, I do love my Glocks, but the sights aren't really all that great to begin with. So I do tend to like having a little bit more space between. It just feels like I have more give and I can aim a little bit better and see my targets better. But for the most part, the sights are really exceptional on this gun. And then, like I said before, it's ambidextrous from the standpoint that you have. It's ambidextrous from the standpoint that you have the slide lock on both sides. The magazine release functions are also ambidextrous in that you have it on the left and on the right side. And if you wanted to, you could work them at the same time. Now, I can't really do that, but, well, kind of. But if you wanted to, you could. The gun also comes outfitted with interchangeable back strap. You get 2 other back straps. This is the medium back strap. You can get the small one and you can get the large one also. You get 15 rounds in this particular firearm. Now, I don't know what it is, but there's something about these magazines that I actually really like. They are metal lined. They're not like the Glocks, which are plastic lined. They are metal lined. There's no plastic on the outside, but they're really smooth. They're really nice looking. And there's something sexy about this magazine. I don't know if it's this red accent or the type of metal material that they use to brush metal, but it's really nice. I do like it a lot. As far as size and weight, the PPQ is likened, like I said, to the P30, but also its direct competitor that I've been avoiding the entire video is the Glock 19. It feels in terms of weight and in terms of profile like the Glock 19 for the most part. So this is a gun that you can easily conceal carry with no issues whatsoever. I am going to do a follow-up video where I talk about, or I compared the Glock 19 to the PPQ, and I'm actually looking forward to that because as it stands right now, if there's a Glock killer, this is the first gun that's going to come to mind from here on out in my world. But for the most part, the quality on this gun is unmatched. I mean, the quality is up there with any other gun that you can think of, whether that be H&K, Glock, or any other gun. It may not be on the same level as an H&K, but it is up there. And I know I keep referring to the P30 and calling this in essence the bastard child of the P30, but it works. If you wanted a P30 or an H&K and didn't want to spend the money to get one, this is the best alternative in order to get this is going to be your best alternative to the P30, and to be honest with you, I don't feel like it's lacking enough to feel any kind of way about it. The price point is going to be right at the Glock, right in the same price point as the Glock Gen 4s, maybe a couple dollars higher or less, but for what you get with this gun, this is exceptional. It really is exceptional. And maybe I may be talking in hyperbole here with respect to this gun because I had such little expectations for it. But nonetheless, this has met, exceeded, passed, stomped, and completely obliterated any type of expectation I had for this gun whatsoever. So besides the looks, which I'm not too keen on, this is an absolutely exceptional gun, and I just have to say it without any reservation, this gun is really nice, especially with this trigger. So if you can really stand the way this gun looks and you're looking for an alternative to say a P30 or a Glock 19, I would definitely look into the Walther Ppq. Hands down, this is an exceptional gun, and I'll try to get a shooting review of it as soon as I possibly can. All right, folks, that's Mr. Coley on Noir, and I'm out.